Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Habibullah Sadiq. Welcome to another episode of Lessons from the Life of the Sahabas and the Sahabiyat. Today we'll be discussing the perseverance of Bilal ibn Rabah. Bilal ibn Rabah happened to be one of the greatest companions of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He was the first Muazzin chosen by the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam for his sonorous voice. He was born in Mecca. His father was an Arabian whose name was Rabah, and his mother was an Abyssinian princess whose name was Hamama. Bilal was born into slavery and he grew up as a slave till he became an handsome, intelligent man, a man of high intellectual sagacity, where he ended up in the hands of the royalties due to these qualities. He ended up in the hands of Umayyah ibn Khalaf. Umayyah ibn Khalaf was one of the staunchest opponents, one of the staunchest enemies of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. One day Umayyah gathered some people trying to convince them not to follow what the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was preaching. He slandered the Prophet and said all sorts about the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. All of this was what Bilal had, and instead of him to be convinced that the Prophet was calling onto the wrong path, he was able to pick from this that the Prophet was only calling to the path of Tawheed, was only calling to the oneness of Almighty Allah, and then he became a Muslim. When Umayyah heard about the submission of Bilal to Islam, to being a Muslim, to what Almighty Allah really wants us to follow, he was upset, and he was like, he that has been trying to convince people not to follow the path of the Prophet now has somebody who is a slave to him following that same path. He did not even know that the message he got about the Prophet was even from him. He did not even know that. Then he put Bilal through eye torture. He tortured Bilal severely. One of the things he did to Bilal was he starved him of food, he starved him of drinks. He even put a collar in his neck. He put a collar in Bilal's neck and dragged him like a dog in the desert. So painful, subhanallah. He dragged him like a dog in the desert. At some point, they even tried to kill Bilal. He asked the other slaves to put a large stone on his back. Bilal was in severe pain, and all he could say was, Ahadun Ahad. He was just saying, one, affirming the oneness of Almighty Allah. In the state of severe torture, they were even whipping him. They whipped him in front of other people. They called him the son of a black woman. Various forms of insults. They said different things to Bilal. And all he was still saying was, Ahadun Ahad. They even brought an idol to him that, kiss this idol and say you submit to what? Lat and Uzza. He did not still say that. He was still saying Ahadun Ahad, affirming the oneness of Almighty Allah. It got to a point that they wanted to kill him before Abu Bakr now paid to free him from slavery. Through his perseverance, Almighty Allah now blessed him to be among the companions of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that had the highest rank. The Prophet even informed him of being one of the people that would be in Jannah in the day of judgment. Look at this, he was a slave before. He persevered the torture, and Almighty Allah made him among the successful ones. Almighty Allah has even told us in the Quran already that the reward for persevering is success. Almighty Allah said in Surah Ali Imran, verse 200, He says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اصبروا وصابروا ورابطوا واتقوا الله لعلكم تفلحون. He says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا, oh you believe, isbiru, persevere, wasabiru, and endure, warabitu, and be steadfast. Attaqullah, fear Almighty Allah, la'allakum tuflihun, so you can be successful. It's so obvious from this verse that what the reward of persevering, of having that virtue of perseverance, is success. Almighty, in the sight of Almighty Allah, what Almighty Allah would use to reward the perseverance one is success. One of the things we need to learn from the life of Bilal ibn Rabah is that perseverance pays. Once you persevere with whatever Almighty Allah put to you, verily you are going to get what? You are going to get gains from it. The end will surely bring to you happiness and joy. Let's try as much as possible to maximize this endlessly rewarding month of Ramadan, to do the best of deeds and try to fulfill our obligations to Almighty Allah. We ask Almighty Allah to make this an easy one for us all. Till we meet next time on Lessons from the Lives of Sahabas and Sahabiyat, I say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.